Hi everyone, welcome to Your Value. So today we're going to look at cryptocurrency because the market is tanking. Like Bitcoin has not been at 35,000 for a while now. So to see it just go, well into the 50, 60,000 and just come down slowly to 35,000. It's really interesting how it's gone because usually a lot of association with like crypto is that, especially Bitcoin, that it's going to continue to rise. So it's actually quite interesting to see a decline just happen now with crypto, especially the whole market. But crypto's always been very vulnerable, particularly with Bitcoin being the leader. Because the minute Bitcoin doesn't do well, the whole crypto market doesn't do well, and that hasn't changed. Like for the last 10 years, Bitcoin has always still been the leader. And you had the situation where Elon Musk comes in and he goes, you can buy Tesla with Bitcoin, and Tesla's also going to be buying $1.5 billion of Bitcoin. And then Elon Musk comes out and he goes, well, actually, we don't want to hold Bitcoin anymore. As he puts it in his tweet, to be clear, I strongly believe in crypto, but it can't drive a massive increase in fossil fuel use, especially coal. So then Elon Musk has kind of just made it about the environment, that hey, now Bitcoin isn't this whole coin that just exists in virtual reality kind of sense. It actually, in a sense, it exists by the carbon footprint it kind of creates, and that kind of worries a lot of people. Then it also creates a stigma of black people that just don't want to get close to it now, and hence why we're looking at this decline. I mean, there's always been countries cracking down on it, so I don't think that's really made the biggest difference. But I think the biggest difference is Elon Musk, who a lot of people actually associate with being intelligent and really like interested in advancing technology. And all of a sudden, if he doesn't believe in Bitcoin, a lot of people start to lose that kind of belief in it as well. So yeah, and then all of a sudden we have this massive sell down where Bitcoin is now at $35,000. So it kind of just seems rather interesting to see how Elon Musk just has this massive pull on Bitcoin and the whole crypto market, and he's also broken that invincibility cloak that kind of Bitcoin kind of had, because for a long time it was this whole coin that just had this kind of like a futuristic kind of aspect about it, where it was something that, hey, if you don't buy Bitcoin, you don't it's because you don't understand it, you don't understand the future, you don't understand the potential. But then the whole argument now is like, how does Elon Musk not understand it himself? Because clearly such a man could understand it, and then now if he doesn't like it, then I think it makes people think, well, if such an intelligent man himself doesn't want it, then why does anyone else want it? So then it creates a kind of interesting view that, hey, if like usual cases, a lot of people feel like they don't understand these things, and it kind of just goes in the same with stocks as well, because it's kind of like when you buy stocks based on smart money, right? When someone who's a good investor buys something, like say like Warren Buffett buys something, you kind of have a lot of belief that that person's going to lead you in the right direction. But if Warren Buffett doesn't like something, all of a sudden a lot of people won't like it as well, and it's the same with stocks. And for a long time there was no certain like leader in terms of Bitcoin, where if someone would buy Bitcoin and everyone would buy it as well. And I think Elon Musk kind of came in and created that leadership that, hey, Bitcoin was good, it's going to be a future currency. And then all of a sudden he's like, actually no, we don't want it anymore, because it's apparently going to cause a large carbon footprint. And all of a sudden like Bitcoin is being sold down now, because a lot of people are like, well, Tesla's going to sell down their holding, so now we're all selling down as well. So and it just creates a very interesting situation of a massive sell down. So it'll be interesting where this pricing will head, because it's been going down, then up, then down, then up, then down, and it's just like this kind of like steady downtrend that doesn't seem to be helping it. I don't necessarily see a catalyst that's coming in to really change that. But then again, I'm not like a big crypto enthusiast that follows everything about it. So maybe there is a catalyst that might change it around. Like you do have people like say like Michael Saylor who believes in it, and he's still buying the Bitcoin as well. So I mean, it just comes down to your perspective of what the value is of the coins and the future as well. But certainly just looking at the markets right now and just seeing how everything just drops along with Bitcoin. But it has risen so much as well. So we've got to go that, hey, there's a lot of profit holders, and now they're profit takers, So yeah, it's interesting to see just the whole market kind of drop. But I think it is kind of also a translation of the whole stock market, also every growth stock kind of dropping as well. And now we've seen it in the crypto market where things are also dropping as well. So yeah, like we'll see how things go in the future as well. But I don't think it necessarily marks the end. Like crypto is always going to be relevant. It is always going to be a very strong kind of technology, like in terms of what blockchain does. And Bitcoin is always going to be a steady coin that people will run to for like kind of like a hedge for gold. Yeah, so I wouldn't say like it's necessarily unusual for these big drops. Like they have happened quite a few times in the last 10 years to see massive drops, and usually it's been followed up by massive increases. So it's really up for interpretation of what happens up next. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this declines even further or it takes a U-turn and goes to like record highs again in the future. Yeah, but it's quite an interesting one. I just thought I'd just like talk about it. If you got any like comments or questions, post below. And yeah, I think just quite baffled in a sense. I didn't actually think Bitcoin could ever come back down this low. So all of a sudden to just see it come down this low kind of just makes it quite interesting. So 34,940. So yeah, it's officially below 35,000, which kind of sparks the question, is this a buying opportunity or is it not? I think if you're a really, really long-term holder, then it is a buying opportunity. But if you're looking at the short term, then it's very difficult to say what happens in the short term. But in the long term, I think Bitcoin still is relevant and it still will hold its value for the future. But of course, there's just a lot of short-term selling in terms of like people panicking that there's a downtrend. And I guess anyone holding it might have that stigma that, hey, it potentially causes, like the mining of Bitcoin causes environmental effects. So then if something like that's not good for the environment. But then again, like people buy gold. So like if people buy gold, and mining gold is not good for the environment either. So like mining Bitcoin, I mean, is the equivalent. But so far it's just been highlighted as an issue in the short term anyway. In the long term, probably people forget about the whole thing about it and continue as usual. But yeah, like it's potentially it does leave the case for another coin to potentially overtake Bitcoin in the future, because if Elon Musk, who has a lot of influence on a lot of people's minds, manages to find something that he thinks will will kind of have a very similar similar use as Bitcoin, but uses a lot less energy, then potentially that overtakes Bitcoin in terms of that case. Currently it has a potential that it could be Doge, because Musk is really highlighting Doge as the coin that he wants to succeed. So as he puts, working with Doge developers to improve system transaction efficiency, potentially promising. So I know like Doge was founded based on being a joke, but at the same time it has all those kind of fundamentals that could also make it something great as well. But of course it's not immune to this dropping, it is dropping quite a lot as well. So yeah, I think it's just a whole market-wide drop. The question is, will there be a market-wide recovery? Yeah, until then, good luck investing if you're buying crypto.